welcome everybody. Thanks for logging in. We are going to talk today about UTS Science postgraduate coursework programs and with a focus on the Masters of Medical Biotechnology. I'm Graham Nicholson. I'm the Associate Dean International for the Faculty of Science at the University of Technology, Sydney, or UTS as we call it. I look after all the full degree programs and the mobility programs for international students. I thought I'd start off with a very quick introduction about UTS in general. Many of you wouldn't know where UTS is actually located. And as you can see from this photo, you might recognise a few buildings. For example, this building over here in the Opera House. So the main campus is located here on the southern end of the Central Business District. And in fact, it's the only university that has its main campus in the centre of the city. UTS is actually a medium to large university. It was established in 1988, along with many of the other universities here in Australia. We are about 46,000 students, and about a third of those are international students from well over 100 countries here at UTS, so it's a very multinational campus. We're part of 8 faculties. We're certainly not the biggest faculty, but we're certainly not the smallest. We're about the 5th biggest faculty here at UTS. We're a fully comprehensive university. We're ranked in the top 200 universities in the world, and in fact, at the moment, we're placed 9th on the QS World Rankings here in Australia. We're actually quite a young university. We're within 50 years of age, and that currently ranks us 11th globally and number 1 in Australia. We're often known as Australia's top young university and have been so for the last 5 years. So I guess today you've logged in because of your interest in science, and many of you will have already done a science degree at different levels. And I think it's important to point out at the moment that STEM graduates, so STEM being science, technology, engineering and mathematics skills and knowledge, are really, really important for the fastest growing occupations here in Australia. So it's important that you understand that, a postgraduate degree in this area is going to be of very high value and very high demand. So at the science faculty here at UTS, we have a number of discipline areas. We sort of cover 5 main broad disciplines. We have over 67 courses available to students at the undergraduate and postgraduate level. One of our biggest areas is medical and molecular biosciences, and that would include sort of biomedical engineering and the focus of today's discussions, which is around medical biotechnology. We're a medium to large university faculty. We have a little over 4,300 students in the faculty, and about 13% of those are international students. But in the postgraduate space, we have 300 students, and close to half of those are actually international students from about 35 different countries currently with us. So it's as I said earlier, a very multicultural campus, and it's a very multicultural faculty as well. We have some very unique facilities here at UTS. Why would you study science at UTS? Because we have some very unique opportunities to offer you in a variety of different discipline areas. And this slide just pulls up some of those unique facilities. We've actually spent $1.5 billion on our campus over the last 3 to 5 years. And science has been part of that thrust and development. And we have some facilities that I'm showing here, things like our anatomy facility in the top left, a 3D protospace printing facility for large 3D printing of prototypes. In the centre, we've got some unique facilities around forensic science. Up in the top right is one of our 2 super labs. We're the only university in the world with 2 super labs, and probably only one of about 10 to 20 universities that actually do have a super lab. It's a very large format laboratory. And relevant for today's discussions, we also have a biologics information facility in our building, which enables us to do medium to large production of a variety of recombinant proteins, pharmaceuticals, nutraceuticals, etc. It's important to also realise that in science, especially, there's a very strong push for undergraduates to move on into the postgraduate space. And in fact, this graph here, which is taken from Graduate Careers Australia, shows you that a number of the science discipline areas, graduates with a bachelor's degree go on to further full-time study. Upwards of 35% of many of the science disciplines actually end up getting a further degree, whether that's a master's by coursework, a master's by research, or even a PhD. And it can lead to a very significant increase in salary and a greater likelihood of employment, obviously. That's a worldwide trend as well, particularly in Europe and places like that, that most science graduates do have a master's level degree. And it's not surprising that you see that reflected in the salaries of graduates with postgraduate qualifications. And this graph here, which is from Professional Scientists, Employment and Remuneration, you can see that at a master's level, which is the focus for today's discussion, graduates can earn upwards of around $134,000 when compared to a bachelor, which earns upwards of around 111. So these are the mean or average salaries of graduates with those types of qualifications. It's important to realise also that UTS has a proud reputation for employability, and there is a graduate employability ranking that is put out by QS. We actually sit in the top 100 globally for employability of all of our graduates. That places us 6th in Australia. So the likelihood of getting employment after graduation is very high. So what postgraduate study options do we offer in the coursework space? We offer a variety of master's programs, Masters of Medical Biotechnology, which is one we'll focus on today. So that's shown here. But we also have programs in forensic science, quantitative finance, biomedical engineering, marine science, and maths and stats. And you can actually do a non-specific major where you draw upon subjects from across different disciplines. So you might pick some in medical biotechnology and some in biomedical engineering, for example. In terms of the qualifications that you would gain, then obviously there's graduate certificates and diplomas, but we're going to focus on the master's level programs here today. And we basically have two programs. There is a Master of Science, or in this case, a Master of Medical Biotechnology, which is a 1.5-year program, so it actually has 3 semesters. And then we have a 2-year Master's Extension program, which actually has 4 semesters. With that additional semester, students are able to choose 3 or 4 postgraduate subjects in their discipline area, or they can undertake a research internship in one of our research labs or one of our affiliated labs. One unique program that we do also offer at the master's level is the Master of Philosophy, which is actually a 1-year coursework program followed by a 1 year of research program. Students can't enrol directly into this program, and I'll be talking about the admission requirements into that degree a little bit later, but essentially you have to have completed 1 year in either the 1.5 or 2-year masters, and then you transfer over. But we'll talk about that shortly. All right, so what is medical biotechnology? So now focusing right down on our focus area. Essentially, medical biotechnology uses a variety of cell biology techniques, things like biochemistry, microbiology, immunology, things like that. to solve next generation problems in the areas of medical, agricultural or environmental challenges. And so it uses a variety of discipline areas. So students coming into this area can come from a variety of disciplines, and we'll talk about the admission requirements a little bit later. Essentially, the degrees that we're presenting to you allow you to understand and gain skills in the development of diagnostics and preventative treatments and therapeutic tools. So the sorts of things that are being discussed and you're learning skills in and knowledge is vaccine development, stem cells, biomedical devices, things like that. So we use those to treat chronic conditions like autoimmune disease, inflammatory disease, cancer, etc., but also acute conditions like infectious diseases like COVID-19, which we're all experiencing at the moment. That's not to say that the program that we offer is solely focused around human medical biotechnology. There are aspects of the program that delve into things like food production and environmental management, for example, things like microbiological control of contaminated waste sites in industry. But there is much more of a flavour around the human focus. So essentially, students who graduate from this program are learning how to produce things like pharmaceuticals and vaccines and such like, medical devices, for example. So working in the medical biotechnology area, students who graduate have career options in a variety of areas, and I've just tried to list out some of the broad categories of career options here. Obviously, you can work in government and biotechnology sector areas. There's research in the medical technology sector. A lot of the graduates go on to become laboratory managers in those areas or in research labs. They can end up working for biotech companies or medical pharmaceutical companies, things like that, as sales reps or technical representatives. They can become professional representatives for the area, become involved with biotechnology organisations, and they can get into scientific education or scientific writing or things like that as well. The people who employ our graduates are pharmaceutical companies where they act as medical or technical reps, biotech companies and medical device companies developing products for those particular organisations. They can work in hospitals and diagnostic medical labs, either private or hospital-based labs, medical and research labs, universities and government departments. So it's quite broad. So this is quite a broad degree. It gives you skills and knowledge in a wide variety of areas. All right, so let's have a look at one of the three programs that we're going to detail today. The first one I'll kick off with is the Masters of Medical Biotechnology, the 1.5 year program. So this is a 3-semester, 1.5 year master's course by coursework. Essentially, we have 2 semesters where we cover a wide variety of discipline-specific subjects, and you can see here at the top of the screen in the grey box a number of discipline-specific subjects where you learn skills and knowledge in areas that you probably have not covered at an undergraduate level. But we are also very keen to develop in our graduates the skills that enable them to work in a variety of different workplaces. So we are equipping them with a variety of communication skills, data analytics skills, statistical design skills, or students also have the opportunity to do a variety of elective subjects in areas such as ethics, risk assessment and management, or scientific writing. In the second year of the program, again, there is the opportunity to take a variety of elective subjects, which are sort of listed here, and you choose 8 credit points out of that listing there. So they include some additional things like leadership, entrepreneurship and commercialization, laboratory management. So there's a variety of subjects you can choose as an elective. And you also choose some more discipline-specific subjects as electives up here, so typically 2 or 3 subjects. And you also have the opportunity to do a research internship, 1 or 2 subjects in that area as well. So that forms 3 semesters worth of subjects to get to graduate with a 1.5-year coursework Master of Medical Biotechnology. So that's the simplest or shortest version of our master's program. There is a 2-year option for students, which is Medical Biotechnology Extension Masters. The difference between it and the 1.5-year program is essentially in the second year, instead of only doing 16 credit points of elective subjects, you get the opportunity to do 40 credit points. So basically 1 additional semester of electives in a discipline-specific area, so in the science core disciplines. The other advantage of this program is that it enables students to apply for a post-study work visa, whereas the 1.5-year program, students are not eligible for a post-study work visa. And the final program we'll discuss today is the Master of Philosophy in Medical Biotechnology. So this is the 1 year of coursework followed by the 1 year of research. Essentially, this program differs in that if you're accepted into the program, and this is an internal course transfer, you will do a 1-year full-time research in research laboratories here on campus or with some of our affiliated research laboratories that collaborate with us. You'll have a UTS supervisor in those external research laboratories though. So this is a pathway through into things such as a PhD, for example. So what are the admission requirements for each of those 3 programs? For the first 2, the 1.5-year masters and the 2-year extension program, essentially you just have to have completed a bachelor's degree in science. We will accept master's programs in other areas of science. Obviously, it would be irrelevant to choose a master's in medical biotechnology unless you wanted to hone in on human biotechnology. And you need to have completed, particularly at a bachelor's level, a degree that specialises in those areas that I've listed here on the slide, things like biochemistry and cell biology, microbiology, genetics, etc. Medical science graduates, biomedical science, advanced science, pre-med, biotechnology, straight biotechnology, or even pharmacology. We would accept all of those graduates with degrees majoring in those areas. You just have to have a past degree. There's no GPA requirement for entry into those programs, although if you've got a significant number of fails, you may be excluded from entry. In terms of the Master of Philosophy in Medical Biotechnology, which is down the bottom here, again, you can't enter directly into this program. You must have completed 1 year of the 1.5 or the 2-year extension program first, and you must have a GPA or an average mark of 65% or greater. You also need to have identified a supervisor who's willing to take you on and to have a project lined up ready to do. But if you fulfill all of those criteria, then you apply for the internal course transfer within the faculty, essentially. So you're not reapplying to the university for entry into that program. It is an internal course transfer. So that's a 2-year program. We do have scholarships available for students. So there's a number of postgraduate coursework scholarships and grants, including a faculty-specific one. At the top of the list here is a 100% tuition fee waiver scholarship. Obviously, this is highly sought after. All the tuition fees are covered for the lifetime of the degree, whether it be the 1.5 or 2-year programs. However, it's highly competitive, and we only hand out a handful of full tuition fee scholarships per semester for the whole university. So it's quite competitive to get one of those, and you do need to fill out a separate application form for entry into that. The remaining three on this list here, you're automatically considered for these, and they are usually based on your GPA from your undergraduate degree. The first of these is one specific for this faculty, which is the Science Postgraduate Academic Excellence Scholarship, which is 25% of tuition fees for the lifetime of the degree. If you're unsuccessful with the first two, you're automatically considered for the remaining two, which is a $5,000 for the first semester or $3,000 for the first semester as well, where the GPA cutoff is much lower. So to summarise what we've talked about here today, I think it's very important to highlight that many of our teaching programs are set up in conjunction with industry. UTS prides itself on having a very industry-based focus. We have quality teaching programs that involve research with industry and accreditation with various industry partners. In fact, we've won a World Global Teaching Award, the Wharton QS Stars Award in 2015, for our flipped learning approach to study here at UTS. We graduate students that have are work ready. They're very practice-oriented courses and therefore very attractive to prospective employers. We run a number of industry-based internships throughout our undergraduate, postgraduate programs. So they're very work integrated and industry-based. We have a number of opportunities globally for students to study overseas for up to a semester at the postgraduate level, with actually over 250 partners now. And you gain credit for your degree here at UTS with one of those partners. And there are a number of international internship programs through our BUILD program that teach you about leadership skills whilst you're doing that. I very quickly highlighted some of the world-class facilities that we have here at UTS. You saw some images of our super labs and the only body farm outside of the US that is here actually at UTS. We have extensive support for international students with over 15,000 students on campus. That's not surprising. So I've highlighted some of the competitive scholarships that we are able to offer students here in science. We have some credit recognition for students coming into master's programs who've undertaken similar subjects at an advanced level. So we will consider credit recognition for international studies here in science. We also have on-campus accommodation. I didn't have time to go through on-campus accommodation options, but we do have 1,200 beds on campus. So students can live on campus and walk across to class within just a couple of minutes. And if you're considering going on to do the Master of Philosophy, for example, and eventually on to things like Masters by Research or PhD, then it's important to realise that the Faculty of Science actually contributes over a third of the total research output to UTS's total. And our research here at UTS, which is driven very strongly by science faculty, is also ranked #1 in Australia for research impact. So that's the impact we have on global society and national outcomes through a government-run assessment exercise that is all the universities in Australia undertake. We actually rank #1 in that field. So just remains for me to say thank you for logging in and listening to today's presentation. I'm happy to take questions at this point. I thank you for your time. Hopefully you got a lot out of that presentation, and we'll put up some details of contacts if you want to follow up at a future point in time on the next slide. But